Good afternoon, traders. This is Christian from Stock Trade Group, and this is your end of day market recap for Tuesday, December 9th. Very sleepy type of a day, not too much movement. I think at one point I was looking at the indices around 3 o'clock and saying, hey, they really haven't moved much for the better part of like 3 hours. So very quiet day. As somewhat predicted, I think that this is due to the Fed tomorrow having a big meeting, and I think a lot of market participants want to wait and see in terms of what they are up to, in terms of what they think they're going to do past tomorrow. I think it dropped a little bit, the expectations that we're going to have a cut tomorrow. I think it moved down to a 90% from 99. So maybe a little bit of doubt there in Fed Fund futures. But really, I think I'll bring this screen in here and I'll share this and bring in this. But again, I've been showing this screen on like these end of day videos because I really think this is kind of what the market is waiting for a bit, and why the price action has been kind of dull. Uh, but yeah, this was 99% yesterday. Now it's at 89. So maybe a little bit of doubt creeping in, and then really this is going to be the big number. I do think that they cut interest rates tomorrow, and but I think what's being expected is that what's called a hawkish cut, which is kind of catchy. Thinking that Powell says that they're going to cut interest rates, but then maybe do like a wait and see type thing and don't provide any guidance. Hence, Fed Fund futures is only pricing in about a 27% chance, and a 23% chance of a cut happening in January or March. So that's what we got going on here. And again, I think that uh, I'm not sure how the market's going to take that tomorrow. I think it's going to be kind of a wait and see. It's going to be one of those things too where um, it depends on how much the positioning is going on in the market. I think that right now, I think there's over positioning in the market right now. So I think retail traders are probably mostly all in on this market, is my take. Regardless of like what, sometimes we get these surveys that come out and people don't feel well, but they're still all in on this market. So that's what I think. I'm going to give you what the implied percentage moves are for tomorrow. SPY, it's about 0.7%. Qs, it's about 0.9%. So again, this is what the option market is implying for the moves for tomorrow. And IWM, 1.4%. Remember, IWM, maybe I'll start with IWM today, which has been really advancing. It kind of lost some steam today, but just bring this in here to the screen. Kind of lost a little bit of momentum for the day, but it's kind of we're sitting here at relative at recent highs. So I talked a lot about that in the weekend video, that a lot of things are kind of just hovering right around those previous highs. I wanted to show this because I've been talking about this because I think it's interesting. IWC, which is microcaps, have already broken out to new highs. Now, there's a lot of, I was looking at, in these ETFs, there's not any big weight. IWM has 2,000 names in it. I'm not sure how many names IWC has in it. But if you're wondering what names are driving this, APLD is actually the largest weight in here at 1.5%. And then you got a lot of biotechs in here. COGT is 1.2%. Cipher, CIFR, 1.1. Wolf is 0.9 of a percentage point. Some other biotechs too that have had some recent nice movement are in this IWC. So that's been the leader. SPY is just kind of chilling. Another one that's like at those recent highs. So really, because it's really tough to tell, and I'm not going to make a big prediction about what's going to happen tomorrow. But I think we're kind of hanging right around this breakout point, which is this is a level that I'm watching, 680, and I think this is what technicals are used for, by the way. It's helps you make decisions. And if we start to kind of turn back down and break into the value area for the month, then I lighten up on positions. Right. If we maintain the breakout, then I try to kind of give some of the positions the benefit of the doubt. And that's it, guys. I mean, like that's what technical analysis is used for. It's used for a blueprint of making decisions. SPY, if you note, is in a bearish 80% rule at this point for the week. This pink box, which automatically lights up when it's a bearish 80% rule, it also turns green when there's a bullish 80% rule. But what that means is that there's an 80% chance that we're going to go from one side of the value area to the other, unless we get back above 684.52. So, and here's your support down here, which the bottom of the value lines up with the top of the value area for the month, which is the gray box. It's gray because we're looking at a value area from a different period. Again, we're using multiple time frame analysis here. We'll do the same thing here for the Qs. Qs are going to have a little bit of a different picture. It's blue because it's neutral, but that is right at the top of the value area. And again, we're kind of just not going anywhere, and it makes trading a little bit frustrating because if you start to think that we're going to move higher and you start to like get involved somewhere in here, next thing you know, we kind of start to, we start to go lower again. So we're just kind of locked in a range. And again, I don't think that this is a surprise ahead of the Fed meeting. We made such a big this like the last Fed meeting was such a big decision area for the market. Going back with what was that, like October 29th, right? That's when the Fed got hawkish and the market sold off until the what I refer to as the Williams pivot, which was right in here. So in any event, I do think the Fed could possibly drive things. Reminder, I'm just going to quote this, that the Santa Claus rally is not to the 24th. So I wouldn't be surprised if we get a little bit more. We haven't really had much weakness, but we've gotten back and forth price action. I would not be surprised if we do get some weakness, and then we'll kind of see how that develops. But yeah, I'm always with these Fed meetings. I'm more worried about the downside than the upside. What I thought was particularly interesting today was we'll start with Bitcoin. There wasn't many things that really moved that much. Bitcoin had a nice day today. It was Bitcoin futures up 1.9%. This still looks like to me possibly a bear flag or a bear pennant. We'll see. For now, it's inside value. The level that I'm watching here is 87,480. That's your support level. Or if you're using IBIT, right? We've been below this value area. We've been back in. So I would be like, this is going to make or break tomorrow. 51.29 is your support for this. Gold turned in another positive day, still going sideways here for gold. Silver was the big story today, broke out to new highs. That's a monster move. That to me, like there's a story out about the possibility of the Fed purchasing $45 billion of treasuries a month. I don't know if that's if we're going to get that announcement tomorrow. But to me, when I see silver and gold go up, and Bitcoin too, it means that maybe the Fed might be dovish. That's certainly a really big move. This stock actually made a really nice move. Big volume today. This is Pan American Silver, PAAS, and overall the silver miners did really well too. Not as strong as that PAAS, but still nevertheless strong. So that's kind of your highlights. In tech, you've got still two pockets of strength. A reminder that CIEN is going to report Thursday morning. Did not close on the highs, but there's a VPOC still up here for CIEN up at 225. LITE also very strong, up another. So you could just be in this stuff and just stay in this. But these things just continue to run very, very strong stocks. And COHR also had a hell of a nice candle today. But the issue is with some of these, and I own LITE and I own CLS too, just a small holdings in the TTG trend portfolio. But LITE still has to get through 344.64. and Micron got a buy initiation, but these things are up a lot is the issue. I mean, these are your strong. These have been your strongest stocks. Western Digital, SanDisk is kind of been stalling out here a little bit. Actually finished down 2.7%. Had a couple good green candles. Let's see what it does after a little bit of digestion. Good. The GEV had their, I believe it was their analyst day today. They're up decently after hours. So got a nice one here. Stock's now up to 670. I took some profits at 650. This is a name that I had talked about in one of last week's videos. I was talking about how I really like the turn back up here on the weekly chart, and I put this both in my trading account and the TTG trend portfolio. So nice gainer here after hours. I like it, moving in the right direction. It's not easy right now to get a lot of stocks to kind of move like this. There's a lot of pops and drops. Carryover from yesterday, CRDO. No follow through from yesterday. It's still holding some support, but it's disappointing, down 4.8%. This is why I take targets. I took 2 targets in this yesterday, and you have to in this market because a lot of times there's just no follow through. And not only is there no follow through, but on a day where the indices are flat, the stock being down 4.8% is not particularly fun. I'm also still long some Lilly. Again, I go over the good and the bad. I have no problem going over this, but thought this might turn today. This is now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 straight down red candles. The main thing here to watch, it's not to really guess when this is going to turn back up. It's to wait for it, right? To wait till it gets back above the 5-day moving average. That's why these are so important. Like this is a great example of using a 5-day moving average. So again, try to go through a little bit of education here when the market's really quiet. Notice what Lilly did, right? Once it got back above this 5-day moving average, I had a little bit of hesitation here at this VPOC, but it stayed above the 5-day moving average the whole time, right? As it trended up. Right. So that's why this is a really good indicator to have on your screen. When something is trending and when the buyers are in control, the price will stay above that 5-day moving average. When the sellers are in control, the price will stay below the 5-day moving average. See how and see every time, like both on the up and the down, every time that the price kind of came into that 5-day moving average, it was supported and it held above there. Again, just tells you when buyers are in control versus when sellers are in control right now. So again, everything that you should have on your charts should be able to give you some type of edge or some type of market feel. And hence, that's what the 5-day moving average does for me. All right, guys, that's it for today's video. Again, we'll see how tomorrow turns out. It feels like the market is definitely waiting for a direction from what we're going to get tomorrow. Reminder: 2 o'clock is the announcement, but really, what's usually most important is the press conference, which usually lasts from anywhere to 45 to 55 minutes, depending on Powell's mood. And through that is the Q&A. Again, to me, always much more important. The market usually picks up on something from that press conference, from that Q&A session that drives the market. Have a great night.